Elson goes wide. Legat trying to go even wider, but it's going to be Elson who has the advantage, and he's going to run all the way to a Penn Relays victory.
Who is that in the white vest streaking through? It's Callum Elson coming through for that second spot. And what about this?
But yeah, like 5:30, something like that.
Morning, Callum.
Morning, mate. Cold one.
Chilly one today. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm all good. Just a easy run. Been easy the last couple of days as well, to be honest. So that feeling when your legs start to come back, it's nice.
Left here.
Oh God.
No worries.
It's reckless.
When are you flying out to Turin?
Later today. So what are we now? We're about 9 a.m. and I'm flying at 5 this afternoon. So getting a final run, and then tomorrow go look at the course, little pre-meet strides, stuff like that, normal stuff, and then race Sunday morning.
Fantastic. Getting ready?
Yeah, it's good that it's a bit cold now, so I can get ready. This is what temperature it's going to be when we race. So it's what would you reckon now? -1?
Yeah, it's about
-1 Celsius, something like that. So yeah, a bit colder than I'm used to, but it'll be nice.
How was your final session on Wednesday?
Yeah, good. Super easy session actually. It was 4 400s and 3 300s at slightly faster paces, kind of not quite 1500 pace, but close enough. And yeah, I just felt after Liverpool in the trials, I had a lot of strength, which I showed in the finish, but at the start my legs really weren't used to the speed. I was kind of couldn't get into the race. It took me a kilometre to realise, like, crap, my legs need to wake up. So since then, that's what I've tried to work on really, is getting a bit more turnover, a little bit more lactic style stuff, and
nice.
Hopefully it'll help.
I guess we haven't seen you since the trials. How was the race?
Yeah. Oh, it's a weird race, man. It's a weird race. Like, I'd love to sit here and be like, run here and be like, oh, I did it perfectly, like timed it to perfection, just got that second spot. But honestly, like, it was about a mile the race, and for 1200, I was completely lost. Like, it was a shock to the system to run out that fast and then for it not ready to settle down. And James Hennigan, like, just took the race. He did what I wanted to do and just like took it to us, made us work really hard, and luckily I timed it to have enough in the finish. But yeah, it was a weird race, to be honest.
Nice. And we got some questions from some of the subscribers today.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and get that done before heading to Turin.
Yeah, fingers crossed. There's nothing too difficult.
Okay, first question this morning, Callum. People want to know, how tall actually are you?
6'2".
6'2". You heard it here first.
No, I'm not. I say I'm 5'9", but I'm actually probably a tiny bit smaller than that. What kind of question is that? I don't know.
Second question. You went to D2 school. Question was, were you glad you went to D2, or do you wish you went to D1?
It all worked out. Go this way. Sorry. It all worked out kind of perfectly, really, because you got to remember, before I went to America, I'd run 15:12 for 5k, which to the average person's a great time, but to the standard of D1 and D2 running in America, it's really not. And so in order to get a scholarship, I didn't have Oregon knocking on the door, you know, for a 15-minute 5k. So I had no idea what it was going to be like, what the standard was like. And when I went, honestly, like, you can see in my first cross-country season when I'm there, I only came 30th. So 30th in D2 is really not that special for cross-country. So it's not like I was there and I was immediately good. I just made a lot of progress that even I couldn't have imagined. But I mean, for some context, D2 last year had 5 guys run sub 4 for the mile indoors. We had a 13:36 Christian Noble 1500, 13:25, 13:35 indoors. So like, D2, while it is, you know, significantly below the top end of D1, actually the top athletes in D2 are towards, like, you know, the mid tier of D1. So I don't know, it's catch-22. The grass is always greener. You always think, oh, what if I'd gone here, done this, but you never really know, I guess.
Glad with your decision. Worked out
well, yeah, look, there's other things I would have wanted, of course. Like, I didn't have that much travel, we didn't have much funding or facilities and stuff like that, but like, I was lucky to get the scholarship I did, have a chance to go out for a year, get another degree, and look, like, the results were great that I ran, so I can't really complain, to be honest. You never know what could happen. I know a lot of people that have gone to bigger schools and relatively have flopped, you know, and have not really made progress that they want to make, so yeah, I can't complain.
Next question we kind of already touched on briefly, but how did it feel crossing the finish line, knowing you just made your first international team, first team GBVS? How did that feel?
Yeah, it was good actually, it was good. It was like I was explaining in terms of how weird the race was. I passed Charlie Grice in third, and I had a few seconds before the finish line. So in those few seconds I was like, oh, I've done it, like, you know, like, I've actually done it. And then afterwards I was like, you know, I didn't really realise how cool it was. You know, it's only when the kit arrives and you see the other names that are doing it and you're like, Jesus, like, it's actually a pretty big deal. I think because it's cross country, like, it's not as glamorous and you don't build it up as much as if it was, say, like, Europeans on the track. But yeah, it's so cool, and I think it'll only be when I get back that I realise, like, you know, how good it's been. But yeah, I want to just make sure that I don't go and treat it as like a celebration of like the hard work being done and like whatever happens it doesn't matter. I want to make sure I go and actually do myself justice and remember the event for doing well, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, fair.
I don't want to go and just come last and be like, oh well, at least I'm representing GB. I want to go and actually, you know, use it as an opportunity to test myself against athletes I might never race again from Europe, and, you know, actually make a good experience of it.
Yeah, first. Next question is, what's the longest interval you'll do in your training?
The longest interval? I guess it really depends. So, I mean, if we're doing like, I'm trying to think. So obviously, if you count like a tempo session as interval, so sometimes I'll have like a split tempo where I might do, you know, a 2 mile rep. But do you count that as an interval? I don't really know. If you do, then I guess 2 miles is probably the longest I would do. But in terms of like a traditional interval session on the faster end of stuff, I'd probably do a 1200 as kind of the longest thing that I would do at real speed. But who knows what coach has got planned, to be honest.
This is a very good question to try and get the full Agila performance training plan out in the open.
You have to contact him, ask him on Instagram. He'll go left on it. He'll love it. If you message Agila performance, insert on the screen, message him and he'll give you the juicy details. He loves stats and data, so he can bore you with it.
Okay, if people want to know what's the your best tips for improving your 5k time.
Oh God.
Also, what is your 5k time at the moment?
I've run 13:52 on the track, hopefully to be greatly improved in the spring, summer. Honestly, tips that probably apply to most people, and I say this because this greatly applied to myself, is being strong and strength. So often I think there's a focus, especially with like people that coach online and whatever, and they say like, oh, we need to do 5k work, like 5k specific, 5k pace. But I think actually you can get really far off building general strength and a base. So doing your longer tempos and intervals, like not neglecting hills and just generally getting quite strong. I think when you then mix in a little bit of, you know, 5k pace, so you do, you know, your traditional 6 times 1k or all those sessions that you can just like Google, you notice a massive difference, because I can't remember the exact percentages, but like a 5k is like 96% aerobic or something ridiculous. It's like pretty much all based off strength. You're not needing any kind of like ability to flush out lactate or anything, so it doesn't really need to be complicated. So yeah, I'd say strength work, some 5k specific work, so traditional sessions, 5 times a k, 6 times a k, stuff like that, and then ultimately get into a fast race, because, you know, say you're going to run 20 minutes of running is not that far if you're in a group, and suddenly you'll realise 15 minutes of the race has just flown by. So find a flat race, don't worry about winning it, worry about getting a good time, and yeah, just sit in a group and forget about your watch. That's my best advice.
And following on from that, how much strength training do you do, and roughly what kind of stuff is it that you focus on in the gym?
In the gym, so normal weeks I'll go twice in a week. Normally either the days of my session or the day after. So if I'm doing running Tuesday, Friday, then I might go to the gym Wednesday, Friday or something like that. It depends what I've got specifically. No crazy weights, nothing complicated. My gym routine literally consists of things I've either been told by coaches in the past, things I've seen other runners do on Instagram, and a mixture of just like YouTubing stuff that could help. But I've made a considerable focus recently to do a lot more single leg stuff and more running specific movements. So adding in, single leg squats, split squats, all kind of isolated movements that are more applicable to running.
Yeah.
But really it's nothing like serious at all. It's one thing where actually I do think I have quite a big margin for gain. So if I actually sit down with someone and start to take it a bit more serious and think about how I can, incorporate more plyometrics and kind of build power and speed, it'll be something to look at for the future, but you can only tackle one thing at a time, really.
Nice. Another viewer question, sticking on the 5k theme, was what is your 5k target for 2023? Bold predictions. Heard it here first.
Honestly, I want to run in the 1330s, I think, definitely. So if I can run 1330 something, whether it's 31 or 39, I don't really mind. But that being said, I literally am revising my targets like every single week, depending on how fit I am, what I think I can do, what type of races there are. But I definitely want to have, one race, whether I have to go abroad or in the UK, where I just think, kind of sod it, let me just go for like a mega time, if I die, I die, but like it's something I really want to do, because if you don't kind of push it out your comfort zone, I don't think you can actually work out how fit you are or where you fall apart. So yeah, I'm definitely going to go for a 1330 something.
Nice.
Hold me to that, because I might bottle it close to the time.
Okay, next question is, why socks?
Why socks?
I think you need to add a bit of context.
All right, I'll give you the answer to this. So I'm so honest. So I'd love to stand here and be like, socks, it's like something everyone needs, it's this, it's that. If you actually look into making clothing, right, and manufacturing stuff, and if you're like, however old I was when I started doing it, 20 years old, 21 years old, and you don't have loads of money, socks are extremely affordable. Both one, for you to like actually create, because it doesn't cost you that much, and two, it's affordable for your audience to buy. And my audience has a lot of younger people, or northern people that don't want to spend loads of money. So yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to have like a hat or a jumper or something, but it costs so much to like say, okay, yeah, I'll buy 200 of them and get it made. It's a big outlay when you're just a small Instagram account and you don't know if people actually want to buy it. So that's why I originally chose socks. But now I think it's quite cool because people can wear whatever kit they want, and there's not that many companies that make socks, and socks don't make much of a difference to your performance. So you can just chuck them on, get a little PB, post it, and you don't have to worry about, obviously, the vest, you have to really think about making it good, and like the quality, is it breathable, is it all these things that actual companies do. I can just make some socks, so.
Nice.
Yeah, not a glamorous answer, nothing deep, but yeah, people seem to like them, so it's a good bit of fun.
Nice. Philly Bowden has come in and asked, when is Callum going to run a marathon? Will it be first as an elite entry, or is he going to run it in fancy dress?
So that's funny you say that. So a few years ago, after a few drinks and a bit of banter, I actually tried to enter for a world record at London Marathon, and the record I was looking at is a fastest marathon in a full suit, because I saw this German guy ran like, I think he ran like 2:39 or 2:40 or something in a full suit. Obviously you can wear your running shoes, and I thought that's pretty challenging, and like that might be like quite good vibes. Obviously since then I've taken running a lot more serious, and I think the marathon really lines up with what I'm trying to achieve. Yeah, maybe I'll do one day. Like the prospect right now of running 120 miles a week is not that appealing, and I've also I'm not that strong at all. Like I probably fall apart after like 10 miles. So Yeah, I'll definitely do one. It'll probably be as an elite entry simply because I'll have to run a fast half marathon before I do a marathon. So if I run 64 minutes or something, that normally will then get you an elite entry for a marathon. So yeah, it's not going to be for a while yet. I'm going to learn how to grow a beard before I take up the marathon.
So next question, any advice for running in the cold?
Running in the cold. If you've got big ears, wear a hat. That's crucial. As you can see here, this one. Running in the cold, honestly, it depends how cold. My advice if it's really cold is not to run or to run inside. If you're in like America, it's minus 20 or something. If you're in the UK, just thoroughly warm up. Do some extra mobility, a few stretches before you start. Wrap up warm, get some high quality Saw gear to keep your muscles warm. And just don't go too crazy to start with. Do a thorough warm up. Pretty self-explanatory stuff, to be honest.
Nice. And you mentioned your younger audience as well. Have you got any advice for younger runners wanting to progress their running?
Yeah, so when I first created the account, actually, one thing I quickly realised is like all the people that I looked up to and still do look up to, I was like, oh, I wish I want to do that or represent a team like them, or, you know, how have they done this? I realised people started to do similar with me in like the sub-elite category. So I tried to put out quite a bit of content that is related to how to encourage young people to do this or think proactively about how you can make running a career or a scholarship or whatever it's going to be. My biggest advice would honestly be not to rush things ahead. So not to like pigeonhole yourself into, okay, I'm a 5k runner, like that's what I need to do, or, you know, I need to go to America, or that's the be all and end all. Just go with the flow, and there will be people around you that are like child prodigies and are winning stuff at 15 and an athlete of the year and their GB best and whatever. But when running is so much about like your mentality and your maturity and stuff like that, that the physical part of it is only kind of half the job. So until you're really ready to stop going out drinking and doing this and, you know, not going here with your mates and doing whatever, it's only then that you can really nail down the running. So I would say don't rush it, like whatever age it is. I loved having 3 years at uni in the UK where I went out and did stuff that just was not conducive with running, didn't take running seriously, made like all my best friends that I have now. Like I wouldn't change that to go back and say, oh, what if I started running when I was 18? Like maybe I'd be really good, because you never know what could happen. You know, I could get injured at the end of this busway. So anything can happen, just don't rush it, basically.
Okay, next up we have your favourite recovery products.
Favourite recovery product. So number one is nutrition. So I work with a company called OTE Nutrition, which are based in Leeds, where I'm originally from. A guy I went to school with, actually, Gavin, works for them, and that's who introduced me to the team. Really lovely team. They support people like the Brownlees and some top triathletes, and they're kind of venturing into running as well now. So their super protein range is like number one. As soon as I get back, I like make the shake quickly, have it within 20-30 minutes of running, every single session religiously. And then also the hydration electrolyte tablets. So I pop one of them or a multivitamin either into like my water in the morning, just to kind of top it up. It's one of those things where I don't know if you necessarily feel the benefit, but it has to be doing some good when you're obviously exercising so much. So nutrition is kind of the main thing. I've started taking kind of like massage a lot more seriously. I used to literally do nothing at all. So I use some Pure Sport balms and stuff like that to give myself some sort of self-massage, as well as like foam rolling and stuff like that. And then I've started going to actually get a proper sports massage every kind of 3 weeks or so, or if I have a race coming up, which, you know, it is a lot of cash outlay, and it's something that I've always begrudgingly thought, oh, I don't really need it, it's not that important, but I think it is good just to get a professional to like look you over. So if you can afford to invest in it every now and then, yeah, I definitely think it's worth it.
Nice. The next question was, with the Olympics coming up, Paris 2024,
yeah.
British trials, do you know what distances you're going to be focusing on
Thank God.
2 years from now?
Thank
It's a
God.
bold prediction.
I honestly, I don't know what I'm having for dinner tonight. I never mind what I'm doing in 2 years. I'm quite trusting of my coach in the sense of what he advises in terms of like, should I run an 8, then a 15, then a 15 and a 5 in terms of like the actual racing season. But in terms of how to develop as a runner, I'm a big believer that if you don't improve a distance below your target, you're never going to be able to improve at the target, if that makes sense. So like, if I want to run a faster 5k, then I need to be able to run a fast 1500. If I want to run a fast 1500, I need to be able to run a good 5k, if that makes sense. So a great example is like Neil Gawley just ran 13:16 indoors, 5k. I've got no idea if he's intending on doing the 5k, but in his interview he said the only way you're ever going to win a medal for 1500 right now is getting the strength of a 5k runner. So it shows that you need to compete above and below your distance, really. So as to what I'm going to be best at, I've got no idea, but for now I'm trying to nail the 1500. I want to get into those 330 somethings and, you know, give it a good go before I then start to venture elsewhere.
What's your weekly mileage on average, and what is it looking like at the moment?
So building into Liverpool, I've had about 12 weeks of being back from the summer, and I think I averaged about 75 miles, which is by far the most I've done. I think last winter I did 2 weeks above 70, and this year I've averaged 75 for like 12 weeks. So I think that's where a lot of improvements come from. But the last couple of weeks, so the week of Liverpool, I think I ran about 60. Last week I ran about 55, and this week, because the race is on a Sunday, I'll probably only end up doing about 45 miles maybe. And then next week I'm going to be off. I'm only going to run a few times. I don't know how many miles that will represent. Maybe 15, 20 miles, something like that. Just as a bit of a reset before go again in the spring.
So out of all the training that you do, what's your favourite session in the week or on your calendar?
I like the Tuesday night sessions. That's like my big faster interval session of the week. Depends at what point I'm training I'm in, but we have all the guys there on a Tuesday night. We've got such a talented group. So car behind. So you can run fast, and also it doesn't really feel like you're doing too much work because everyone's sharing the reps and stuff, which for me is pretty unique because all the other times I'm training by myself. So yeah, Tuesday night intervals, which is always some kind of fartlek, really.
Nice. Favourite session?
I don't know. Favourite session? Ones that give me confidence for running fast. So I'd probably say something on the track that's 60s, 800s, 400s types of thing. Nice. Where I'm hitting the paces that I need to race at.
Okay, and lastly, going back to where it all started in your football days, people want to know, how fast were you running when you were still playing football and only running casually?
Okay, so for context, I'd play football, obviously in the football season, like September until start of December, and then middle of January until May or whenever. So I had the Christmas month, December, and I had the summer from kind of June until September to actually do some running. So it wasn't that I was doing nothing, I was actually doing some running. And I ran, by the end I ran 15:12 for 5k before I started. My 3k was nearly the same pace, honestly. I think my 3k I ran indoors once, and I did 8:49, I think, 8:49. My 10k I ran in the Isle of Man at like a uni kind of drinking event. It's where the hat's from, actually. I ran 31:45 or 31:49, something like that. So basically like 32 minutes, 15 minutes and 9 minutes essentially for 3, 5 and 10. And actually by half marathon, I've not done one since I started running. That's still 71 minutes, so I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have beaten that.